Guys, we got ourselves a pecan pie. Finally there's a pecan pie in the anabolic diet. What is going on, everybody? My name is Ethan. Thank you for clicking on my video today. As this channel progresses, people suggest certain recipes that they'd like to see out of me. But if there's one recipe that blows all of them out of the water, that has been requested to me more times than I can count, it is pecan pie. I was thinking about it for a second. I was like, okay, 30 grams of pecans is almost 300 calories. How can anyone make that low calorie? How can anyone make that high protein, not have a lot of fat? Well, your boy's been working. This is about a month in the making. This is trial and error. Fun fact for you, I actually didn't have my first slice of pecan pie up until about a month and a half ago, maybe a month, when my parents bought it for me because I told them I wanted to try making a pecan pie. They're like, here, try a slice. You gotta know what it tastes like. And dude, I thought apple pie was my favorite. Oh my God. Pecan pie is nuts. And I was like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? So trial and error. We finally got it. I cannot wait to bring this to you guys today. We are making anabolic pecan pie. And dude, okay, so grab your Thug Jugs, take a little sip of water. There's no reason for that, but you gotta be drinking a gallon of water a day. No exceptions to the rule. Read the shirt. You know how it is on this channel. So if you've seen my cherry pie or you've seen my apple pie, you know that this might require a few more recipes than a lot of you are not recipes, a few more steps. I always jumble my words on camera. It's weird. It's weird talking to a little circle. This is gonna require a few more steps than your typical anabolic recipe, but believe me, when you see the calories and the macros, when you taste this thing, and oh my gosh, it's well worth it. 100% worth it. I'll give you a little hint. My caloric maintenance when doing cardio and whatnot is about 2,600 calories. I can eat 2 whole pies in the day, exceed my protein threshold by a lot, and not gain any weight. I'm done talking. I want to get this recipe to you guys as fast as possible because we're going to be in for a bit of a heftier video. Got a few steps to cover. So guys, if you have not already, please drop a like down below and smash that subscribe button. Ring the bell to be notified when I drop more videos like this, and leave a comment if you got a suggestion for a video in the future. And hey, share the video while you're at it. Helps your boy out a lot. But anyways, guys, we're in for a treat, so I'm done talking. Let's go over everything we're gonna need to make this recipe happen today. I just stepped in a puddle of water. I was checking my camera to make sure my mic was on. Now my sock is soaking wet. Yeah, that's the worst thing in the world, dude. We're gonna soldier this one out. We got food to make. So in a lot of my recipes, the ingredients tend to be a little interchangeable. Like you can use a different protein powder, or you don't need to use this extract or more whatever. You're allowed to play around with it. With this particular recipe, I highly suggest that you follow the steps exactly, very carefully, and you use the same ingredients that I do. That's gonna make the difference between a good pecan pie, a great pecan pie, and an unfreaking believable pecan pie. I had my roommates try this, I had my parents try this next to actual pie. Indistinguishable. They were blown away by it. They said it's their favorite thing that I've made. And I made cosmic brownies, I made jelly donuts, Uncrustables. I made a lot of stuff on this channel. This pecan pie, dude, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it. So, here's everything you're gonna need. You are going to need a Vanilla Whey protein. This is a brand that I use, but as long as it's vanilla, it'll do the job. You're gonna need whole grain honey-made graham crackers. You're gonna want a low-calorie butter. I'm gonna be using I Can't Believe It's Not Butter. 35 calories for a tablespoon, about 14 grams. This is good stuff. Butterscotch sugar-free Jello mix. You are going to need salt. Walden Farms 0-calorie pancake syrup. You are going to want stevia, Swerve brown sugar, pecan extract. You're gonna want a decent amount of egg whites. I'm gonna be separating them as I always do. For all the keyboard warriors out there who are telling me, just buy them in cartons. It's cheaper this way. I don't mind the extra 5 seconds of separating eggs. Not a big deal to me. But for those of you using a carton of egg whites, I will give you the gram measurement once we incorporate this in the recipe. And lastly, you are going to want pecans. Now guys, if you know me well enough, you know I have a tendency to maybe forget stating an ingredient in this portion. I'm double checking the list. So I think I gave you everything. But the last thing you're gonna want is pecans. If I forget something, I'll mention it later in the video. But dude, look at this. A quarter cup, 30 grams, 230 calories, 23 grams of fat. That's stupid. But we're gonna work around it. We're gonna make it anabolic as hell. We're gonna do what we can, all right? It's gonna be great. So that is it for ingredients. Let's go over your kitchen weapons. Today you are going to need, as always, your food scale. If you guys are interested in the food scale that I use, I got a link to it down below. It's really cheap. And if you order using that link, I get a small commission. It helps with the channel. It's a good way to give back if you're feeling it, but any food scale is gonna work for you, honestly. For the amount and ratio of ingredients we're gonna be using, you want a 9-inch pie tin. You're gonna want a blunt object for crushing, a whisk, and a rubber spatula. I don't know where my rubber spatula is. I'm hoping it'll turn up as I film, so who knows. You're gonna want 2 large bowls to mix with. We're gonna be making the crust in here, and we're gonna be making the filling in here. It's a good idea to use a glass bowl when you're mixing ingredients because you're able to see the sides and the bottom. If there's a clump of something that you didn't notice you didn't mix, you can kind of see it, you can kind of work it in, and it makes it easier to mix more evenly as opposed to using something that's opaque like a metal bowl. But either way, it doesn't really matter. It's not gonna be the most important thing in the world. And lastly, you're going to need a pot. That is everything you're gonna need. Before we get ahead of ourselves, make sure your oven is preheating to 350 degrees, because I always seem to forget to mention that until some really random point in the video, and I'll be like, oh guys, by the way, make sure your oven's preheated, and it's already like too late. So you heard it here first, oven at 350, but we can't do nothing until we got our thug jug. Thug jug in hand, let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is make the crust. Grab yourself an entire pack of your graham crackers and get yourself a Ziploc bag. You're gonna wanna put them all in the bag and seal it right up. Now guys, you don't need to put it in a Ziploc bag. You can just crush them up into the bowl. I just find this saves a mess, goes a little quicker. Now we got our crackers in the bag. Grab yourself a blunt force object and ruin their day. That should do the trick. Bring your metal bowl over and pour everything right in. Now I got you up at this angle because I want you to be able to see inside of here, but I'm noticing that's not really working, but we're gonna roll with it. Grab your food scale, throw the bowl right on top. Actually, hold on, I'm gonna bring you a little closer. That is more like it. Now, we're gonna take our Walden Farms syrup, put in 90 grams. Last thing you wanna do is add 40 grams of your Vanilla Whey protein. Get rid of your food scale, grab yourself something to mix with. I don't suggest you use a whisk because it's gonna thicken up so much, it's all gonna get caught up. You're better off using a spoon or a fork, but whatever works for you. I'm gonna be using a fork, so. You're gonna notice that this crust is very similar to the one you see in my other pies. I tried doing a different crust, and for those of you that follow me on Instagram, you saw the picture where I had a crust that looked a little different. That was a little bit of a last second experiment that didn't pan out so well, but I'll get into that later in the video. Grab your pie tin, grab yourself some 0-calorie spray. That is what I forgot to mention earlier in the video. I apologize. Still like the video. Okay, we're gonna grab our pie tin, we're gonna grab our spray, and we're just gonna give the tin a coat. Now we're gonna take our mix, plop it right in the tin. Gonna stick to your fork, so you gotta get your hands a little dirty. Nothing wrong with that. Take whatever you're using and spread it out a little bit. But we're inevitably gonna need some aluminum foil or parchment paper, so I'm gonna go grab some of that. So here's my strategy. What I like to do is I will spray one side of the aluminum foil with some of the spray, flip it over, and start kind of hand molding the crust that we're gonna make. People tell me I should use parchment paper. I have tried that more than 20 times, and each time it sticks, whether I spray the paper or don't spray the paper. I find I get the best result when I use the aluminum foil, so do whatever works for you. You'll probably have a better result using this. So, give it a coat, flip it right over, and start molding. Try to make it as even as possible, but it does not need to be perfect. I try to get the crust around the perimeter to get a little higher up, but honestly, it's gonna taste the same. This is more, I'm trying to get the best presentation because, you know, gotta make a thumbnail. All right, now that we have a decent looking crust, we're just gonna peel back gently on the aluminum foil because we can rip up some of the crust. You might want a fork to kind of edge the foil. You'll see what I mean. Right there. It's gonna start to pull up. You kind of gotta work it back down. It's gonna happen. After working it for a bit, you're gonna wind up with this. Bring it over to your oven. Adios. With the crust, it's really a personal preference. If you want it to be a little softer, put it in for about 4 to 5 minutes. If you want it to be a little more firm, you want it to be a little harder, put it in for about 7 to 8 minutes. But we got our crust sitting over there. We're gonna set it aside. Now we're gonna focus on our filling. So I'm gonna start by putting in the wet ingredients first, then adding the dry ingredients so it mixes a little better. That's not something I did up until recently because I didn't see why it was really necessary. But I noticed things tend to mix a little better when you do that. So we're gonna start by putting in 9 egg whites. Like I said, I will give you the gram measurement if you don't have egg whites you're pouring out of a carton. It's okay. All right, that is 9 egg whites. You're gonna wind up with about 292 grams. Like I always say, if you're off by 10, 20, 30 grams, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but get as close to 292 as you can. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put in 50 grams of our Walden Farms syrup. We're gonna set that aside. You're gonna wanna grab a tiny bowl you got laying around that's microwave safe. I don't know why I zeroed it before I put the bowl on. Okay. You're gonna wanna put in 42 grams of the lowest calorie butter that you can find. The reason I'm weighing it separately is so I can pop it in the microwave and melt it down a little bit before we mix it in. That way it's gonna mix more thoroughly. It's not gonna clump up. I noticed that happen in previous attempts when I don't microwave it. You're gonna wanna microwave this for about 10 to 15 seconds. Throw your butter right in. Oh God. I hate the smell of butter. I love the taste of it, right? Butter's delicious. It smells disgusting when you microwave it, so try not to. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is add 5 grams of Pecan Extract. I went to like 3 different stores and they didn't have it anywhere, but they had every other extract, of course. So I ordered this on Amazon. This one was about $7, I think. So if your store has it, great. If not, you can just get it online. It'll come in 2 days. So 5 grams. Yup. Yes, sir. That's it for our wet ingredients. I'm gonna stir it up real quick before we add anything dry. Not bad. Now we move on to our dry ingredients. First thing we're gonna add is 66 grams of your Vanilla Whey protein. For me, that's about 2 scoops, 33 grams per scoop. If yours is off by a couple grams, you can either put in the exact amount of grams or just eyeball 2 scoops. But like I said, accuracy is pretty important with this recipe. It'll give you the best result. So, wow, I'm butchering my words today. 66 grams. Should zero it, okay. 65. 67, okay. Next thing you guys are gonna wanna do is add 90 grams of your Swerve brown sugar. 90. It's 0 calorie, it's not a big deal. Now you wanna add 21 grams of Butterscotch Jello mix. You can, oh, this one ripped open, what? Oh, seriously? Okay. You're gonna want 21 grams of this. All right, now that we're a little messy, we're gonna add 2 grams of salt. Last thing we're gonna want is 20 grams of stevia. All right, that is everything. Get ready your food scale and just start to mix. You're gonna wanna gently mix it first because the powders are gonna fly up if you move too fast. So slightly work it in, just be a little patient. It's gonna take a couple minutes. Oh, that's so good. You guys are not ready. You're not ready at all. There's gonna be these chunks of brown sugar that really don't wanna break down and mix. Not a big deal. You're gonna wind up with a very thin liquid that looks a lot like custard. It's exactly what you want. Let's bring this over to the oven. What you guys are gonna wanna do now is turn on your stove, set it to a low to medium heat. This is so important because I cooked it a few times where I got a little impatient and I just kind of put it on a really high heat, mixed a little faster. It will clump up. It'll be gross. It is so important that you guys do not put this on a high heat because you're impatient. The best thing you can do is take your time with a low heat and continuously mix. You're gonna be doing it for about 5 to 10 minutes. Once your stove is on a low heat, pour your entire mix right in. Every last bit of this. I'm obsessed. So I got an electric stove. I got mine set between 2 and 3. low to medium heat. Anything exceeding that, it's gonna be too much, it's gonna cook too fast. So grab your whisk and just gently work it. Just gently stir it around, make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom, and get to work. I would try to get some angles zooming in on the pot, but I gotta keep mixing because if I let it sit for a minute while I zoom in and get a pretty image, it's gonna burn, it's gonna ruin the recipe. So you're just gonna wanna stir it for a little while. It's gonna be a little bit of an arm pump, you know? We all like that. The heat on the stove is really gonna cook all the ingredients together. They're gonna bond extremely well, and you're gonna wind up with something that's like, you know, really caramely, right? A really thin caramel. The more you mix it, the more it's gonna get thick. That's exactly what we want. I'll tell you how to do it in a bit. As for the oven, we're gonna be putting the pie back in shortly. What you wanna do is turn it off at 350, set it to broil, and put it on low. I don't know if all stoves are high and low or if they're set to certain temperatures, but put it on a low broil if you can. After about 5 minutes, it's really gonna start to thicken up. Once it starts to thicken up to the point where you're seeing a little bit of clumping, take it right off the heat and continue mixing. Make sure there's nothing burning at the bottom of the pot, so take your whisk and just kind of scrape it along the bottom. That'll prevent anything from sitting on the bottom surface and starting to burn, because you don't want that. You're gonna notice it's really starting to thicken up. Now is that time where you wanna take it off the heat and continue mixing. The pot itself stays hot, so if you stop mixing, the bottom's still gonna burn. All right, so I mixed it again for another minute. It's really thick at this point. Now we can start putting it in the crust. If you feel like you took it off too early, put it back on the heat and continue mixing on a low heat for about another minute and keep repeating the process until you achieve your desired consistency, but do not overdo it. Let's fill up our crust. Just pour that right in. Now I know there's people out there saying, this doesn't look like a pecan pie. Yeah, the inside doesn't look exactly like the pie would. It tastes like the pie would. Now just spoon the spread all around the crust. Kind of looks like a pumpkin pie, doesn't it? You guys want to be so careful when you're heating this stuff because it's so easy to burn. As a reward for your work up to this point, start licking the spatula. Unbelievable. So I'm gonna say this out the gate. This is my opinion. Whenever I have the pecan pie, the highlight to me is the filling, the crust, and I noticed that pecans are just kind of there. Like, they're not that important to me. So me personally, I would stop here, I'd bake this, I'd be done. But it's a pecan pie, you gotta put them on. This is the most bogus thing I've ever seen. Look at that serving size. Look at those calories, look at that fat. But the people want a pecan pie, we're gonna make a pecan pie. I can't open this bag. There we go. Adding the pecans on top comes down to personal preference. Use as many as you would like. I'm gonna use 2 servings, which comes to about 460 calories. But if this were for me and I wasn't making a video, I wouldn't use a single pecan. This is delicious on its own. I'd bake this and be done. But we're gonna weigh out 60 grams of pecans. This is almost 500 calories. This is 2 servings of pecans, 460 calories. That's complete BS. But we're gonna dress it up, we're gonna make it look nice. So I'm gonna take half of the pecans and I'm just gonna dress this up a little bit. You can design it to your liking, make it however you want. As for the rest of these, I'm gonna ground these up and just sprinkle it right on top. Grab your bludgeoning tool and get to work. I'm using a glass bowl, so I'm gonna be really gentle. Okay, yeah, I'm grabbing it back. I'm just gonna take what's left, I'm just gonna sprinkle it all over the pie, make it look nice. Now, there is one final step that I like to do before I put this in the oven again. Grab your food scale, throw the pie right on top. But what I like to do to get a little caramelization on top is I like to grab the Swerve brown sugar and sprinkle on 10 grams. This is optional, I prefer this. I got my disgusting sweet tooth, you guys know me, yada, yada, yada. Oh, jeez. Oh, no, no, no. Just gotta spread you out more. That right there is everything you're gonna need. Pop it right back in the oven. After about 3 minutes in the oven, this is what you're gonna wind up with. All right, so I feel like it's that time in the video where I should do something really stupid. So I'm gonna attempt to one-hand this. Guys, look at what we did. Look what the Anabolic kitchen has as its latest addition. Now, Here's the thing. The inside is gonna be pretty gooey, so if you try to cut it right now, there's a good chance it's not gonna hold together real well, and it's probably gonna fall apart. My suggestion to you, and I prefer it this way in terms of taste, I would put it in the fridge, let it settle for a few hours at least, maybe 3 or 4. I know you're impatient. I know you want pecan pie. I get it. But trust me, if you let it sit for a few hours, let it settle, it's gonna take on the consistency that we want. Now, I know a couple of you are saying, that filling does not look like pecan pie. It looks more like butterscotch, I know. I couldn't capture the translucent, honey, syrupy kind of consistency you see in a normal store-bought pecan pie. What we captured was the taste. I mean, I don't know about you, man, but that looks freaking mint. I mean, my biggest priority is not looks. My biggest priority is not aesthetics. My biggest priority is taste and macros, and we accomplished that today. So, I'm gonna put this in the fridge. I'm gonna let it settle for a little while. In the meantime, I'm gonna sip on my Thug Jug. That's right, drink a gallon of water a day, no exceptions to that rule. I'm gonna clean up all these dishes. I'm gonna let that sit for a couple hours. Then we're gonna go upstairs and we're gonna do a taste test. So, see you guys in a bit. Okay, welcome back to my messy room. It has been about 4 hours since we put our pie in the fridge. It has had time to settle. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to fill up my jug. Give me 1 second. Got it. Okay, so, pie. Let's break this open on my desk like a smart person would do. Because that's what I am. Guys, we got ourselves a pecan pie. Finally. Finally, there's a pecan pie in the anabolic diet. I'm going to cut out a piece. I'm not going to do an exact quarter, eighth, or anything like that. I'm just going to cut out a small piece and try it. I'm not starving right now because while this was settling, I did make dinner a couple hours ago, so I'm not gonna force myself to eat a ton because I want it to look good. Nah, I'm gonna eat a little bit because I don't want to stuff myself. But let's see if I can get this in the shot. So, okay, yeah, this is not gonna work. I'm sorry. I am balancing this piece of pecan pie on a knife while I hold the entire pie in my other hand because my brain is big. Here is one small slice of the pie. This is less than an eighth. You are not ready. You are not ready for the calories and macros. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna do a little taste test. Grab myself a fork. I'm gonna get really close so you can see this. We're just gonna get a little bit of everything there. Oh yeah. Now, before we get into this, I do want to say one thing. I did mention earlier that I did have a separate crust that I put on my story a few days ago. The reason that I'm not going with that crust is because that crust is essentially the same thing as you see as a typical puff base. If you watch my puff videos, you know what I'm talking about. That puff gave me a little bit more volume with the crust. So I tried making it a few different ways using that base. And at the end of the day, it gave me a little bit more volume, but it was such a pain to lay in the pie tin because I couldn't get the consistency to work with me. On top of that, it didn't taste nearly as good. It really didn't. It might look a little more aesthetic with the little notches around the perimeter, but I don't give a crap about aesthetic, dude. This tastes delicious. This is so good. Gave it to everyone in my family. They lost it. My mom hates anabolic food. I'll give my anabolic puffs to my mom, the blueberry ones, for example. She'll try them and she'll do like the little, you know, Squidward biting the Krabby Patty. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, she did that. And she's like, it's really good. And I'm like, Mom, stop lying. And she's like, I can't do the artificial sweetener. I can't do any of that. She tried this. She loved it. If you got someone who hates the anabolic diet, they'll eat this. They'll eat this. Time for the taste test. Cheers. Stop. Oh my God. Admittedly, this is not the typical filling you will see in not an anabolic pie, a store-bought pie. It's not going to look the same. This has more of a tan, custardy filling, not translucent like you'll see with a gooey, honey, crystally kind of, I'm sorry, I gotta swallow, crystally kind of filling you'll see with a store-bought pie. I couldn't replicate the look. Like I said, I don't care how it looks. I care how it tastes, and I care about the macros, I care about the calories. I think we aced all three of those. I'm gonna give you the macros and the calories very shortly. I'm gonna finish this, man. Oh yeah, dude, I don't even like pecans. I really don't like pecans. But this pie, This pie is gas. I am going to chew my food for a second. I'm going to sip the nectar of my Thug Jug. Make sure you're drinking a gallon of water a day, baby. Come on. Do it a little more gracefully than I do. That was out of this world in every sense of the word. Words. Out of this world. 4 words. In every sense of those words. Now I'm going to pull up ye old Google and I am going to look up the typical calories and macros you'll find in a 9-inch pecan pie. Oh my God. Okay. So, we're going to do a little bit of math. A pie this big, a pie this size, store-bought, 1/8 of it. Here's the calories and the macros. 503 calories, 27 grams of fat, 64 grams of carbs, that's fine, and only 6 grams of protein. Okay, so let's do the math on that, all right? So what is 503 times 8? That is 4,024. 4,024 calories. I think that's right. Usually my mental math is good, so I'm trying to make, let me confirm this. 503 times 8, 4,024. Let me just write this down real quick. I didn't do the actual pie math yet. I only have my stuff, but give me a sec. So obviously different pies baked around different parts of the world, the different stores are gonna have different ingredients and whatever. But I Googled a typical store-bought 9-inch pie. 4,024 calories, 216 grams of fat, 512 grams of carbs, 48 grams of protein. That's stupid. So I am going to give you the nutrition facts without the pecans because that's how I prefer it, and with the pecans. We're going to start without the pecans. The entire pie. This entire thing, pretend there's pie in this little wedge here. The entire 9-inch tin, my pie, 1,319 calories, 28.3 grams of fat, 135.7 grams of carbs, 121.4 grams of protein, and 4.5 grams of fiber. Now I'm going to read it to you with the pecans, and this is how substantial the difference is when you put a few nuts on the pie. That's why I prefer this without it. This is only with an additional 60 grams of pecans, and that's not a lot. You saw it earlier, that little dish, nothing. But if you want the pecans on there, this is what you're looking at. 1,779 calories, 74.3 grams of fat. Substantially goes up, it's crazy. 141.7 grams of carbs, 127.4 grams of protein, and 8.5 grams of fiber. A pie that I made, same volume, same flavor, has 1/4 of the calories of a typical pecan pie. Okay, maybe just like 200 over a quarter, not even. And not to mention, we tripled the protein. So, obviously my slice was pretty small because I ate a little bit, but I'm gonna say a typical serving for this pie is gonna be 1/4 of it. That's gonna be an Ethan serving. So, calories and macros for that. 1/4 of the pie without the pecans, the way I prefer it, you are looking at 329.75 calories, 7.7 grams of fat, 33.9 grams of carbs, 30.35 whatever grams of protein, and 1.1 grams of fiber. 1/4 of the pie with the pecans, I know some of you are going to want them, so here they are. 444.75 calories, 18.56 grams of fat, 35.43 grams of carbs, 31.85 grams of protein, and 2.15 grams of fiber. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume that at least a few of you behind the screen are thinking that those calories, those macros are misleading and that I might be bullshitting you. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna give you every ingredient measurement with its calories next to it in the description. I'm gonna list everything for you to see so you know exactly how much of what's in there is worth how many calories and whatever. And I'm even counting the calories for the erythritol in the brown sugar. I believe it came to about 24 calories. For those of you that see Swerve and assume that it's automatically calorie free, it's not. I tend to not count sweetener calories because I usually only use like 5 or 10 grams, so it might add
5 calories, right? But because I used a pretty substantial amount in this recipe, I counted all of the sweetener calories, and the erythritol came to 24 calories. Erythritol is 0.24 calories per gram. I used about 100 grams. 0.024 times 100 is 24. That gives you 24 calories. It's all there. It's all there. I'm gonna list everything down below for you to proofread, and I'm telling you guys, make this pie. Someone left a comment on one of my videos. I believe it was my thank you video, and they said that my cosmic brownie is a staple in their diet, and every time they eat it, they have to tell themselves not to feel guilty. When I read that, I was like, that's strange. Like, you cooked it, you know it's healthy, you know, like, why would you feel guilt eating that kind of thing? And now I get it. It's so sweet, it's so rich, thick, and just, there's no way to feel like you're dieting eating this thing. There's no way to feel like you're doing the right thing. This feels wrong to do. Eating this pie feels like a bad thing. Like you should stop. That's kind of what this pie feels like to me, if I'm being completely honest, is every time I make it, it's really rich, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I gotta stop. But then I'm like, why the hell would I stop? It's an anabolic pie full of protein. Make it at home. Review it in the comments. Do whatever you gotta do. It's so good. You know, I'm making another piece. I'm making another piece, honestly, bro. See what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna kick the pecans off because I don't need those extra calories. They're not important to me. I'm gonna have the rest of the pie. My caloric maintenance sits at around 2,600 calories, assuming that I incorporate cardio. I can have 2 entire pies throughout the day and stay lean. That is what we got here today. Make this at home. Review it in the comments. Make a review video. Do whatever you want to do. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your feedback. I want some honesty. You guys see my Instagram in one of the corners. I don't know which one it's in. I never know when I'm looking at the camera head on. But you see my Instagram. Go check me out there. Send me a picture. Tag me in it. I want to see what you guys come up with because, well, there's not much you can come up with because I'm hoping you followed exactly the way I do. That way you will achieve the best pecan pie. Show me your assortment of pecans on top. I don't know. If you make it, tag me in your picture. I want to see what you guys come up with. I'm going to wrap this up here. I really hope you enjoy this recipe. This took a lot of time to put together. I'm glad we finally got it. I'm glad we finally got it. I never thought I'd love pecan pie as much as I do, but I will be making this so frequently. So frequently. This is the last of what I'm having before I wrap this up and put it in the fridge downstairs. So guys, comment down below. Is the last bite the best bite, or is the last bite the worst bite? I'm curious what you think. To me, the last bite's the worst bite because you're saying goodbye to it. It's done. The sensation, all the dopamine receptacles and flashing colors in your head while you're eating, it ends after the last bite. There's no more flavor. There's no more good food. So to me, the last bite is the worst bite. This is the last bite right here. You kind of just want to make it last. You want to savor it. Hell yeah. Guys, that is it for me today. I'm done talking. I just want to see you guys make this recipe. If you guys have not already, please drop a like down below and smash that subscribe button. Ring the bell to be notified when I drop more videos like this. I make recipes. I do challenge videos. I do fitness videos. Sometimes I'll just sit down and talk to the camera. Comment down below what you guys want to see from me, and I'll see what I can do. And guys, share this video around a little bit. Show people that we can have giant pecan pies multiple times a day and stay lean, stay in shape, exceed our protein goals, and just enjoy the foods we love all the time. We don't need to suffer. We don't need to struggle. We don't need to starve. This is what the diet's all about, man. I'm done for today. I appreciate you making this far in the video. I am out of here. See you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Boop. Peace.